the party master on Up and Go, The Bridge, 99 FM.
You're right on time for the start of Up and Go right now here on The Bridge, 99 FM to the world. 99 on the FM band across Jamaica, 99.1, 0.3, 0.5, 0.7, and 0.9 on the FM band. We are, in fact, streaming around the world at www.thebridge99fm.com. Welcome to Wednesday's Radio. Today, Wednesday, the 27th of October 2021. How are you all doing today? Good morning to my friends in capital city Kingston, our friends all across Jamaica, every parish capital, all those who are out early, locked in to the bridge right now. We thank you for listening, and we promise you that we'll have a very, very interesting, exciting, informative, and entertaining program for you between now and 10 o'clock this morning. DJ Audley, are you awake, sir?
Wide awake.
Now you are. Didn't I just see somebody stepping into the studio saying good morning to you 3 times and he didn't even... Well, you're not the only one.
Yeah.
Because I missed my turn at the first traffic light where I normally make a left, and I went down through the second traffic light, which means I'm going in a totally different direction. You know what direction that would be, right?
Yeah, man.
Yeah, so when I got to Mayor Brown's Corner, I said, no, but this is not where I need to be now. That's for later. So I had to keep drifting left until I got to work on time, though.
Yeah.
And that's a good thing. Morning, Richie. Morning, Jody. And we're going to make it happen. Right now, it's 6:03. My name is Richie B. Good morning and welcome to Up and Go. It's now time for headlines across the bridge here on the bridge. 99 FM to the world. And we start with a local story. One of the headlines that caught our attention: school relief. Thousands of primary students get November 8 green light for face-to-face. More than 45,000 students and 2,520 teachers at the primary level have been given the green light to return to face-to-face classes beginning November 8, but the institutions will have to adhere to strict risk-based mode, according to Prime Minister Andrew Holness. At the same time, infant and basic schools are also being allowed to engage in face-to-face learning, while 11th to 13th graders at the secondary level preparing for external examinations will also be allowed in-person attendance for the completion of labs and other exam-related activities. These will be done in small groups using a rotation schedule as guided by the COVID-19 protocols, according to Prime Minister Holness as he spoke yesterday, while announcing tweaked measures to contain the spread of COVID-19. Under the new dispensation, 376 of 759 primary schools will be allowed to resume face-to-face learning. Of the 376 schools, 191 or approximately 51% are small primary schools with fewer than 100 students enrolled. Holness also pointed out that of the 191 small schools, 171 were rural institutions in remote areas with students living in proximity to the institution and requiring minimal transportation. And another story from the local shores: second dose vaccine slump. That's the headline. Fewer Jamaicans have been turning up for their second dose of COVID-19 vaccines, even as the government pushes to administer 1 million doses by the end of next month. Yesterday, health officials pleaded with Jamaicans who are due their second dose to come forward. There is a decrease in the take-up of the doses. Many persons are still due their second doses, and we are seeing that we have less persons coming out. We started the first week with 38,000 persons coming out for second doses, and last week we only had 8,607 persons who came out for their second doses, according to Chief Medical Officer Dr. Jacqueline Bisesa McKenzie. More than 50,000 people are still due their second dose. The new take-up for the shot has also dropped, Dr. Bisesa said, pointing out that October started off with more than 12,000 people taking a first or single-dose vaccine, but this decreased to under 10,000 by the second week of the month. And that is causing some concern nationally and especially within the Ministry of Health. We move over to St. Lucia. Amid modified lockdowns and improved vaccination rates, COVID-19 and Delta variant cases continue. The Ministry of Health on Tuesday, October 26, issued a health alert saying that there will be restrictions on movement from Saturday, October 30 to Monday, November 1, 2021. As St. Lucians look forward to Zune Kweyol, one of the most anticipated national observances in St. Lucia, the government encourages all to celebrate this Zune Kweyol at home with family instead of large social gatherings, which can reverse the hard-fought gains which have recently been made against the COVID-19 virus. And the cabinet ministers recognizes and applauds the efforts of St. Lucians to collectively reduce the rate of transmission of the deadly COVID-19 virus. Words there from Moses N. Baptiste, the Minister of Health and Wellness over there in St. Lucia. At 18 and a half minutes after the hour of 6 o'clock, we can share one more story with you from the wider world. Brazilian Commission votes in favor of recommending criminal charges against Bolsonaro. A Brazilian commission investigating the government's handling of the COVID-19 pandemic has voted in favor of charges against President Jair Bolsonaro, among others. 7 of the commission's 11 senators voted yesterday evening to support recommendations contained in a 1,288-page report on the pandemic. The document calls for charges against 2 companies and 78 individuals, including Bolsonaro, over the pandemic's enormous toll on the country. More than 605,000 people have died of COVID-19 in Brazil, the second highest number of deaths in the world after the United States. Those are our headlines across the bridge. And we've been telling you about it. We now have the pleasure of talking to Miss Oshin Levy, who is the Corporate Communications Officer at the Firearm Licensing Authority, the FLA. There are a number of things that we want to discuss with her, including what happens, their roles and function over there at the FLA. Good morning and welcome, Miss Levy. How are you doing today?
Hi, good morning. Good morning to you and all your listeners. I'm doing great so far. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for joining us. Oshin, I'd like to ask you now to tell us a little about the FLA. What happens? What do you do at the FLA?
All right. So FLA is an organization in the Ministry of National Security that is responsible for the issuing of private firearm licenses and regulating firearm usage in Jamaica. So that is us in a nutshell. We were established in 2006 to do so, and so far we have rolled out several services, including renewals, new applications, recertification, and firearm storage.
Okay. So ideally, no one should have a firearm, basically, unless they have gone through the processes at the FLA.
Definitely correct.
Or you'd be holding on to an illegal firearm, and that would warrant an arrest, I suspect.
Definitely.
Yes. Why? Who should acquire a licensed firearm? From your perspective, who would you say should acquire a licensed firearm?
Well, we have several considerations, general considerations for granting a firearm license, and that is granted by the board of the authority. Now, one factor or consideration of the board is whether the applicant or the person is fit and proper, which speaks to the integrity of the person and the accuracy of the information provided by the person. Now, another consideration is whether the applicant has satisfied the board that they have a genuine need to be armed, which is based on information or justification presented by the applicant and the findings from our internal and external investigative process. So those are, however, simply general considerations and is not an exhaustive list or comprehensive checklist of considerations, simply because each applicant's circumstance or case varies. Now, having a firearm requires significant responsibility, and we must remember that and keep that in mind.
Yes.
And it not only impacts the lives of the holder or holders, but also the persons they come in contact with. And this has to be weighed by the board each time an application is processed, while ensuring that each person it's treated fairly. So as I said, there is no comprehensive checklist to say that this is exactly what an applicant should present per se to be granted a firearm license, because everybody's case is different. However, we have general considerations, which if persons want to read further, they can check section 29 of the Firearms Act.
Okay. But in a nutshell, I think it really is to protect life and property when you get right down to it. Would you say that as a correct statement?
Well, to protect life and property, and we also have to take into consideration national security as well. How a holder having a firearm can impact the lives of others.
Yeah, got you loud and clear. Now, what is the process in trying to attain a licensed firearm? What does one have to go through?
All right, so in terms of the process, it is a standard process, let me just say that. Every applicant has to go through this process where required documents are submitted and the application fee is paid for the commencement of the process. Extensive internal and external investigation is conducted, which is the same for all applicants. And once the investigation is completed and all clearances are received, the file is sent to the board, who makes a decision. So that is the overall process that each applicant has to go through.
Within, in general terms, within what time frame, in terms of a turnaround time for one to actually be able to get or access this license, would you say it is a month, 2 months? Do you have an average time frame?
Not quite. So our standard turnaround time for practicing applications is 9 months to a year.
Okay.
And as I would have stated before, we do extensive investigation. So that is internal and external. So in terms of even our external investigations, we have to ensure that we have received security clearances in terms of background checks on the applicant. And once the internal investigation is completed, as well as the external security clearances are received, then we pass on the file or the case to the board of the authority, who makes the decision.
Let me ask you, Ms. Levy, for someone who is living overseas, a Jamaican living overseas who would like to get a firearm license, is the process any different for that individual?
All right. So as I said, it's a standard process. There is no difference. And the law doesn't prohibit anyone within that circumstance from applying. What we do, however, ensure as the authority is that each person who desires to own a firearm or a private firearm license is that they have the information as it regards to the process, the application process, and what it entails. They will know, or they will be advised that it entails in-depth investigation, which would mean that they would have to interact with our investigators. They would have to be available to do a home inspection and other aspects of the interview process and application process are required.
Let me give you a scenario now. So there's a firearm license holder who is in Jamaica but wants to travel overseas. What should that firearm holder do before leaving the country?
So before leaving the country, that individual may choose to leave their firearm at the nearest police station, or they can come into the authority. Any one of our offices, we have an office in Mandeville, in Kingston, in Montego Bay, and our new office in St. Anne, Discovery Bay, St. Anne. And they can come in and store their firearms there. They will be provided with a receipt that they will take with them, and as soon as they get back into the country, they're able to provide that receipt and receive their firearms.
Okay. Very important point that. So somebody listening now and is interested in getting a firearm, what's the first thing that you'd say that person needs to do, Oshin?
I would say get the necessary information. We have our website, www.fla.gov.jm. We also have social media platforms on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Get the information that you need regarding our application process and the requirements. Then you can either speak with our representative from the FLA to get in-depth information if you're not sure of the different requirements, and you can also put your documents and your information together to ensure that you have a strong justification to be presented. One thing I want to highlight is that in terms of what the board utilizes to inform their decision is the information or justification that is provided by the applicant, right?
Yes.
So you have to provide information that satisfies the board that you are fit and proper, as well as you have a genuine need to be armed, right?
Yes.
And that is put against our investigation process, or internal and external investigation. And so that information that is presented, as well as the outcome or what is derived from the investigation, will help to inform the board's decision, basically.
So there might be somebody listening who would like to hear now who does not qualify, because maybe he or she will not even bother to start the process if they understand who will not qualify. Is there a way that you can share with us who would not be one of those that you're interested in having putting an application into your system?
All right. So what we do take into consideration, the applicant's criminal record.
Okay.
So depending on the charges, depending on whether there has been a report in terms of that person, in terms of their behavior, then we will take that into consideration as to whether that person is fit and proper to be granted the firearm license. Right?
Yes.
We also look at the information that is provided by the applicant in terms of its validity or accuracy.
Oh.
There are several cases where persons try to
circumvent
pad the information per se and reflect something that is not. So we through investigation, we're able to identify this and realize that this person really and truly is not genuine or honest, and we take that seriously at the FLA in terms of our investigative process.
I wanted to
those are just a few things, actually. There are several other things that we factor in.
Okay. Not all are necessary to be mentioned here. In closing this morning, Ms. Levy, can you share with us some tips? You might have a few tips you want to share to licensed firearm holders.
All right. So security is very critical. It's very important. So as a license holder or a prospective license holder, ensure that your premises is secure. Ensure that you have a storage facility for the firearm in a concealed or secure area. Ensure that you do not display your firearm or put that storage facility close to children, because we have to ensure that they are protected and that they do not have easy access to it. And to treat every firearm as if it is loaded. It is a weapon, and it should be treated with the utmost responsibility. That is key.
Well said. I thank you so much for all that you've shared with us this morning, Oshin Levy. Thank you so much, and I wish all yourself and all the members of your team at the FLA a wonderful day today. Thank you so much.
No problem. Thank you very much for having me. Take care.
All right, all the best. A chat there with Miss Oshin Levy. She's the Corporate Communications Officer at the Firearm Licensing Authority. And I think she gave a lot of information that you can use if you want to be a holder of a licensed firearm. And now you know what to do. And we're pleased to welcome at this time to Up and Go here on the bridge the president, the newly appointed president of the Medical Association of Jamaica, Dr. Brian James. Good morning, Dr. James. How are you?
Good morning. I'm doing very well, although I'm at work, but I'm doing very well. Thank you for having me.
All right. You're out to work early, or is it that you worked overnight, Doc?
No, I'm out early. I've been here from 5 o'clock.
Okay, wonderful, wonderful. Thank you for taking a few minutes to speak to us about some very important issues, and congratulations on your new appointment to president of the MAJ. How has it been going for you so far?
Well, it has been quite hectic. I'm not sure if it's really congratulations or commiseration. It kind of depends on what you're going to ask me.
Well, let's just say I want to wish you well. This is what, a 1 year presidency or 2 years?
2 years.
2 years. We know, and we'll be calling on you from time to time to speak on issues of health for the nation, which is what we're doing this morning, Dr. James. First of all, can I get a comment from you in terms of what was announced yesterday, the new protocols announced by the Prime Minister? Any word from your association in that regard?
The association, the Medical Association of Jamaica, that is, we are a little bit concerned whenever the parameters that are used to change the protocols are not very clear to us. We believe that we should try our very best to keep the population as healthy as possible by having these restrictions for as long as they require to stop the very, very extensive and quick spread of the disease. Right now, the positivity yesterday was reported as 8.3, but what is worrying is that hospitalizations were at 340. Now, when we restarted the issues in July, on July 1, the hospitalization was only 106, and we were there at the time saying, we shouldn't have reopened. This was the time we reopened the society, basically, and we were saying that at least the hospitalization should be way below 100. And the positivity should be 5. Now it's 8.3 and 340, and we are relaxing restrictions. So it does concern us a bit. I am thinking that a good strategy would be to decide ahead of time where are the trigger points, what positivity, what hospitalization rate we're going to make what changes. And everyone knows what the entire population is working towards. The other issue is the vaccination rate. We should be at a really, really high point before we reduce the restrictions. Right now we're at, maybe about 12%. That's not adequate.
A lot of work is required in that regard as far as vaccinating the nation is concerned. What can you tell us in terms of whether or not general practitioners will be allowed to administer vaccines going forward?
Yes, I'm very, very pleased, excited almost to say that maybe as of even as early as today, some of the general practitioners will start becoming involved in actively vaccinating in their offices. And that's something that we've been asking for quite a long time. It took a long time for the machinations of the Ministry of Health and Wellness to get to this point, but I'm very, very glad that it's there. I think it offers an extra option, which I think is likely to be substantial. People are more likely to respond to what their GPs say one-on-one in the privacy of their offices, rather than having to go to a site somewhere where everyone knows what they're there for. I think this is likely to be hopefully a game changer.
And is it a case where many or most of your members would in fact be able to participate, or is it just a few who, shall we say, qualify to be a part of this engagement?
I did a survey recently, and maybe about 60-odd percent, 65% or so of the general practitioners said that they were willing to participate. Qualification, in terms of actually administering it, that's not a problem. Qualification is not a problem. But having the infrastructure in place and the staffing and equipment and so on, that might actually be restrictive for some people. And some kinds of practices are not amenable to that kind of activity.
So the general public listening right now, how would they know which GPs are participating? Will it be published? Or do they just simply call to find out?
Yes, I think people have been calling. That's one of the reasons why we were so eager.
Yes.
People have been calling their GPs to find out whether or not they are involved in this initiative. So call your GP. Are you a part of the vaccination program? If yes, when can I come?
Got you. I want to speak about the vaccine Pfizer, which we understand we're getting another batch of it into the island soon. What is the plan, Doc, to ease the concerns of those who believe that the Pfizer vaccine is the safest and therefore they do not wish to have access to any other? Although from the government perspective, we understand that the Pfizer will be specifically for the children. How are we going to straddle this situation at this time?
Well, I think it's going to boil down to supply. If we can get enough to cover the children, because we are certainly of the view that the children should take priority in relation to the Pfizer. They are the only ones Pfizer is the only one that is approved for down to age 12. I think it has gone now down to age 5 in the United States. So we definitely believe that it should be reserved for the children. We need to get the children back to school, particularly those high schoolers. We agree that a vaccination rate of 65% should actually be required for face-to-face schooling. And so it is really important that the Pfizer is reserved for these students.
And by extension then, Doc, what would your advice be for those who are still on the fence about getting vaccinated and getting one of the other vaccines available?
Well, I would say consider to me one very simple fact. I think it depends on what is the reason why people are hesitant, right? But consider one thing. There is a huge study done by the Office of National Statistics in England, where they studied 51,281 deaths in the United Kingdom. And they only found, COVID deaths that is, and they only found that only 1.2% of those deaths were in persons who had actually had both doses of their vaccine, 1.2%. And that included people who actually got COVID within the 2 weeks after their vaccination and therefore it would not be protected, or those who actually had COVID before they got vaccinated, right? Or while they were being vaccinated, they had active COVID. So from that study, you were 82 times more likely to end up in the death statistics if you're unvaccinated as opposed to if you're fully vaccinated. You know, even if you got it, once you got vaccinated and you stayed away from COVID for 2 weeks after that, you are 199 times less likely to die from COVID. To me, that is enough. That was enough for me when the opportunity came around. And I've seen the suffering and I've seen the hospitalization, and even those who survive it, they might actually end up suffering from long COVID syndrome, having quite significant problems afterwards. So that is, and the people who are there saying the various strange things about vaccines, it is unclear to me what their agenda is. Are they on the side of the virus or on the side of the population? I'm not sure.
Good question. I think we have enough time just to squeeze one more question in, Dr. James. Based on your observation, do you think that the government will in fact be able to reach that goal that they've set of vaccinating over 1 million Jamaicans before the year ends?
That's difficult. That's really, really difficult. It's going to depend on all hands on deck. Us, MAJ, everybody in civil society, the PSOJ, and very importantly, the media, right? I think the media also has a responsibility to look towards what is really important, right? What is really important is for us to grasp whatever opportunities there are out there, safe and effective ways of avoiding COVID-19. And right now, the most effective way is getting the vaccine. And we really have to ignore the noise to a great extent and try and educate people about the facts. Just get the facts for them.
Doc, thank you so much for those thoughts. We appreciate it that you took the time while you're at work to speak with us, and we wish you a great day today. Hope to talk to you again sometime soon. Thank you.
Thank you very much for having me.
Dr. Brian James, ladies and gentlemen, the president of the Medical Association of Jamaica, the newly appointed president. And first time we're getting a chance to talk with him. I'm sure that we'll be reaching out to him from time to time in the future to get his perspective and that of the MAJ on matters to do with the nation's health. We're now inside of a special segment, which is in fact sponsored by Howard Johnson Realty Limited and also HJ Property Management Limited. We've been telling you all morning that inside of Real Estate Today, we'll be looking at going digital with property management. And before I introduce our usual guest, just want to let you know that the property management industry, in fact, operates in an aggressive and continuously changing environment. For some, business relies on direct communication for day-to-day operations. However, in today's fast-moving world, property managers need to stay updated with the incoming and, in fact, upcoming industry trends. What are those? Those are like going digital to connect with their clients and their renters and even their staff where that is necessary. And so, to expand on that topic, going digital with property management, we're joined today by the CEO of Howard Johnson Realty Limited and of HJ Property Management Limited, Howard Johnson Jr. himself in the studio. Good morning, Howie.
Morning, Richie, and good morning to everyone who's listening.
How are you doing, sir?
Well, I'm giving thanks, giving thanks. I got up this morning and I saw the sunshine, so I say, yeah, it's another good day.
Yeah, you're above ground. We have to give thanks.
Every time.
What ways have property management changed, would you say, Howie, in the last few years?
Well, I think over the years, property managers have become a little bit complacent in just doing the mundane task in the same old way. But with the the introduction of the pandemic last year, we have had to make adjustments, and many persons have had to turn to technology, especially with the restrictions of staying away. How do you manage a property without being face-to-face or on property? But it highlighted a lot of challenges that we may have not recognized, which is the automating of many of your processes and having them interconnected. Okay. And we find that, well, from experience and even hearing from some of my colleagues, we found that we had several systems running in isolation, and that puts a little strain on your resources or your human resources, because you have to be managing different portals, etc. But many persons have now adapted to the new way of doing things, and most of the technologies that are used to run property management now are systems that are comprehensive and interconnected, as I mentioned earlier.
Right at your fingertip.
Right at your fingertips, and it keeps you in touch with your clients as well.
Okay.
Yes.
From the look of it, the property managers and renters are right there on the front line during this pandemic. What do you find are some of the concerns, put forward by landlords and even renters during this time?
Well, I'm glad you mentioned frontline workers because even during the orders, etc., when you heard about the nurses, the doctors, free to move around,
Right.
how do you look at a complex with 100 people, 75 people, and tell them that you cannot respond to anything when they're working from home?
Exactly.
So we had to be on the front line, and eventually we got our exemptions to move around so that we can address some of the issues from landlords and tenants by being on property. And you know the dynamics of persons being at home, the common area or the facilities are being utilized more often. So you would have had issues or areas such as the pools, the gyms, etc. All of these areas are heavily utilized, and these were concerns from landlords and tenants as to how are they going to be regulated, how are they going to be managed, and that's where we came in, and we had to respond even during the lockdowns and curfews, and so we had to be on the road attending to these issues for landlords and tenants.
There's a great deal of transformation that has taken place in the industry. As it relates to things like the rental experience, would you say it is any better at this time? In what ways, really, would you say that the pandemic has sort of accelerated the future of property management?
Well, it helped us to really ascertain how we serve our clients and how we are responsive to the needs of our stakeholders. So for the landlords, we were able to do better checks on our clients because we had more times and a lot more documents were submitted to us. Instead of just having a face-to-face interview, we were collecting information to ascertain if this is the right person for your property. For strata complexes or gated communities, we were able to implement strategies that made communication easier. And the future of property management is where now up until just yesterday, we were limited to just 10 persons gathering. So you had to incorporate technology, Zoom, whatever it is, online virtual meetings, because you had to have your annual general meetings, you had to have your executive committee meetings. Yeah. But what we found is that gave greater participation because you had a lot of persons, certainly for those listening on the bridge in the diaspora, New York, Canada, all over UK, yes. They are now participating in their meetings where they couldn't before because they weren't here to attend. So they usually give their proxies, but now with the virtual space, they're on time and there for the whole meeting because they're now getting appreciation of what is happening on the ground even while they're away. So that just that very addition of online meetings that we were forced to conduct because of the pandemic has now eased the ability for us to move in with the times.
So would you say then, Howard, that what we might call smart home technologies are in fact enhancing the experience in property management?
Yes, it is. When you can move in a tenant without being at the door, that's a great step in the industry. And with these technologies where owners overseas can send a code to the door or send a code to the tenant, and the tenant just punch in their code and get inside the house, and the property managers, the cameras are there for the facilities, and you're watching the property or just ensuring that the safety of the tenant is okay. These are things that we believe that the smart homes help to ease the day-to-day monitoring and presence on site. Not that it is not needed, because as property managers you may not pick up the rat around the back of the yard or the beehive that is under the roof, but there are things that we can undertake now without having to physically be on the property, and that's because of the introduction or the reintegrating of the technology in our space, property management space now.
Would you say then that at HJ Property Management that you are fully aligned with modern technology and it's assisting you in how you deliver the services that you offer?
Well, I have to brag, if I may, right, DJ? I have to brag.
Go right ahead.
But yes, we based on the calls that we have been getting and the new contracts that we have been signing recently, it's a testament to how we have adjusted where others may not have had the time or the resources to adjust. So we have implemented the technology to make things easier for our clients, and I think one of the most significant things that we did that we were lauded for is the fact that although it's not new technology, but we have facilitated online credit card payments, because you remember when your offices are closed for half a day or people cannot come into your space, or you only have 2 people to come and run your credit card, would have been a challenge. So people are now making their credit card payments online from overseas. And guess what? That is in better compliance because whereas they have to wait till they come Jamaica, send a check, wire money and pay $4,000 for that wire, then when the strata gets it or the landlord gets it, there's a deduction from the bank for receiving that money. We're now facilitating online credit card payments, and with that people are more compliant, which provides the resources to the properties and the property owners to do the things that they need to do, because everyone is now having the opportunity to pay up where it was lagging before. So we have been lauded for seemingly integrating that into our processes.
Fantastic. Please let us be the first to announce when you have that property of over 5,000 units in New York that is under your umbrella.
I waited at the corner. I think Bobby's on the ground. Bobby's on the ground trying to solicit that sort of relationship. So big up yourself, Bobby.
You're keeping the right company.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right, Howie, what is your tip of the day that you want to share this morning? You do have one, right?
Yes, we do. As property owners, you want an experienced company that reflects your values and will maximize the returns for your investment property. Consult the experts who will make your investment a priority, which is in fact our tagline.
All right. And one such expert would, of course, be HJ Property Management.
No doubt.
Now, you have a deal for us today. Let's go to
Going but not yet gone. Yes, sir.
What is it?
All right. Well, we have a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom townhouse located in Long Mountain Country Club. It can be your new home today. You will enjoy living in a safe and secure community that is designed for your comfort. The property is equipped with 24-hour security, comes with a water heater, a backup 400-gallon water tank, AC units and ceiling fans in each bedroom. The complex does have a swimming pool, a clubhouse, and a well-stocked convenience store. And let's not talk about the views from Long Mountain. We're asking you to call today Carol Madden. She can be reached at 876-351-3113. That's Carol Madden at 876-351-3113. If you're not getting her on her phone, you can send her an email at carol@hjrealtors.com.
All right. Good luck with that, Carol. Miss Madden, have a great day today and good success with that particular deal that you have going on. All right, we are pretty much out of time. How can you be contacted and where and all that? Give us some deets.
Well, because of the Property Management Show, you can visit our website at hjmanage.co. That's www.hjmanage.co to hear more about our property management company. But usually you can call us on our landlines, 876-620-1457. You can send us an email at info@hjmanage.co. or visit us on any social media platform. HJ Manage is our handle or username.
All right. Very interesting program today.
Thank you, sir.
We looked at going digital with property management. It's courtesy of Howard Johnson Realty Limited and, of course, their sister company, HJ Property Management Limited. Thank you once again, Howie. What is it like in traffic this morning?
Well, coming down Hope Road, we encountered a few, delays at the intersection of TGI Friday, and which is Hope Road and Lady Musgrave.
Musgrave and Hope.
Yes, that we encountered a little traffic, and just coming by Kingsway just before you make the left before 7 o'clock, there was a little delay right in front of Andrews Hospital. But other than that, it was smooth sailing.
All right.
Going towards Hope Road on Kingsway, you will encounter bumper to bumper traffic, but in the other direction towards Fontana, smooth sailing.
All right, send Bobby the invoice.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Take care, Howie. Have a great day.
You too. Big up yourself.
All right, that is, of course, Real Estate Today. It happens every Wednesday morning at 8 o'clock right here, and it's courtesy of Howard Johnson Realty Limited and HJ Property Management. Of course, the CEO, Howard Johnson, was our guest. Junior, that is, was our guest today. Say hi to Daddy for us as well, all right?
Will do.
So Jair Bolsonaro over there in Brazil is in a spot of bother. There have been a lot of demonstrations and votes that have been cast, and they are now saying that a series of criminal indictments is what he should face over his response to the coronavirus pandemic, according to a committee of the country's senators. So he has been, you'd have to say, a very controversial leader, and now it seems that the country, through a vote that was recently cast, would like to put pressure to bear on him based on how he has handled the situation in Brazil, where they are now the second leading country in terms of coronavirus deaths. Well, you know who is coming to his assistance. If not assistance, you know who's coming to his support? Donald Trump. Are you surprised? Yeah, Donald Trump is saying, hey, listen, man, he's a good leader. President Jair Bolsonaro and I have become great friends, says Donald, over the past few years. He fights hard for and loves the people of Brazil, just like I do for the people of the United States. That is what Donald Trump has said. He says Brazil is lucky to have a man such as Jair Bolsonaro working for them. He's great. He's a great president, and he will never let the people of that great country down. So when all in Brazil are going against Jair Bolsonaro, his peoples, his parliamentarians, he has some support in Donald Trump. And will that matter at this time? It's a critical time for him. We'll find out. DJ Roy is pretty much just about here. We'll be hearing Jamaica's pride and joy, DJ Roy, any second now, saying something like, morning, 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 morning.
Morning, 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 morning. From which part? New York City. Yeah, from right there, sir.
Morning, sir.
Well, I'm a Regin.
Everything good?
Everything is, most things good. I got to be like Dubmaster today. Most things are good. But so many things happen when we got off the air on Monday.
OMG. We didn't see that coming, DJ Roy.
No.
Not in our wildest imagination.
It's like a movie.
Oh, yeah. And then within an hour after we signed off in this segment, then it's almost like all hell broke loose. I mean,
like, what?
Yeah, the big accident, the loss of the life of the police officer and the leader of a church. You know, I referred to him as a bishop and a pastor, and several of my listeners said, don't call him that. He should be referred to as a cult leader. I was like, okay, if that's what you say. Right. Yeah, but man, what a situation.
Indeed.
It makes you wonder, doesn't it?
It makes me wonder, and it doesn't look good on the police department in Jamaica. It's a sad situation, but, you know, we got to do better. I always say we. I'm saying when you're pointing, you know, one finger at somebody, you have three more pointing back at you. We have to find a way to do better.
Mm-hmm. You think it looks bad because of all the things to do with why he was being transported by that medium, the fact that he was being taken from Montego Bay to Kingston? What are you picking up?
What I'm picking up is this. First and foremost, his crimes were committed in Montego Bay. So why are you taking him to Kingston? Mm-hmm. Process him in Montego Bay, and if you have to take him to Kingston, then I understand that. But the process has to start where the crime was committed. If somebody commits a crime in Brooklyn, we don't take him to the Bronx to process him. Mm-hmm. We don't take him over to Jersey. You process him in Brooklyn. So that I didn't understand. And something of that magnitude, I just thought the transportation should have been better. Mm-hmm. It should have been more secretive. But what do I know? I'm not the police.
Well, those are some strong arguments. The DPP has been quoted here in Jamaica as saying that it's in instances like these, and even the police officers, including SSP Lindsay, with whom I spoke yesterday morning on the program, putting forward the argument that it's sometimes they do this for the safety of the suspect or the prisoner, because it might be in Montego Bay, where he's quite popular and at the same time so controversial, then sometimes safety and security issues could develop. And that is one of the arguments that the JCF is putting forward as to why he was being transferred. But there are many who don't buy that argument, we have to admit. And in addition to that, posthumously now, we're hearing that the same controversial leader was in fact charged and convicted in Canada as a sex offender for sexually assaulting a 21-year-old man. That is information that is coming out now posthumously. We didn't know all of this back 2 days ago. Right.
One of the things I mentioned in my program when, you know, people were calling in and rejoicing. I had to say, since we as Caribbean people are happy when somebody dies. Justice, I believe in that. But to be rejoicing that someone lost their lives, and might have kids. And even if they don't have kids, it's just telling me where the world is going and where we're going to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. Not a good look at all, no matter what. You know, and you know, are you picking up also that people are not believing that the man has died?
Some people think he's left the country.
I don't know. Listen, man, this is going to be a talking point for a long time to come. I mean, they see him on the stretcher. There's this whole matter of whether or not he had a mask on in one of those shots that came out after the accident, and whether or not it was in his beside his hand in the other. Listen, there's a whole lot of stuff going on, and it will be for a while yet. Not going to be just a 9-day wonder. I don't think so. Not in this instance.
Indeed. So let's jump into some music.
Why not?
I want to say, I don't want to use the word condolences, but a friend of mine, a radio colleague of ours, lost 2 of his laptops and his hard drive. They broke into his car and took it. Shawnee B from BBC One Extra in England, and he's going crazy right now.
Must be.
So, Richie B,
Yes,
back
sir.
up your laptop, Bridget.
Yeah, man.
Hardly back your laptop
Yeah,
up
that's
because, Bridget, my Bridget in England's going crazy right now. He's put out a reward.
Sorry to hear about that, Shawnee B. Trust me, man.
Yeah, he's going crazy.
They broke into my vehicle years ago and stole a CD pouch with a few hundred CDs.
Right.
And I have not yet fully
Recovered.
Richie B, the party master, on Up and Go, The Bridge, 99 FM.